Supplemental oxygen can up survival rates in cancer patients, Northeastern University reveals. This has been on my mind for a while. I've been going back and forth for the past couple of years about getting an oxygen concentrator. I just don't know which one to get. There's a lot of cheaper ones that are made in China. You know, the Chinese, they also have their own issues with their own air, so you'd think, there's a lot that you can buy over there. I just don't know which ones are good. And if you were to buy one here in the States, you're probably going to need a prescription to get an oxygen concentrator. And I know Responics, they had some good reviews on some of theirs. I've seen some not so good reviews on some of the other ones. But I'm just up in arms, so if anybody could please educate me on which oxygen concentrator to get, that'd be a big help. Since we know that the Pacific Ocean, that a lot of the life that in that ocean, the oxygen levels are decreasing, that 21% that they're saying here in this article is some places, and then sometimes in the city it might even only be 10%. And then we know at the age of the dinosaurs that there are certain periods of time during the Jurassic period where there was oxygen levels that were 30, 35%. And then what do you know? The animals were much bigger, much stronger. What does that tell us? That tells us that oxygen plays a major factor in our health. It would be great to supplement, do oxygen certain times of the day, maybe before you go into work, just to boost your energy level. And they're saying here that you have cells, tumor cells, that the increased oxygen will make that tumor cell kill itself, basically. And that's what you want. You want those bad cells to go away. Northwestern University researchers have found that inhaling supplemental oxygen, 40 to 60% oxygen as opposed to the 21% oxygen in air, can weaken immunosuppression and awaken anti-tumor cells. The new approach, some 30 years in the making, could dramatically increase the survival rate of patients with cancer, which kills some 8 million people each year. 8 million, that's going to go up, fellas. That's going to go up, definitely. The breakthrough findings were published Wednesday in the Science Translational Medicine. Michail Sitkovsky, an immunophysiology researcher at Northeastern University, and his team found that supplemental oxygen inhibits the hypoxia-driven accumulation of adenosine in the tumor in the microenvironment and weaken immunosuppression. Thus, in turn, could improve cancer immunotherapy and shrink tumors by unleashing anti-tumor T lymphocytes and natural killer cells. Breathing supplemental oxygen opens up the gates of the tumor fortress and wakes up sleepy anti-tumor cells, enabling these soldiers to enter the fortress and destroy it, explains Sitkovsky, the Eleanor W. Black Chair and Professor of Immunophysiology and Pharmaceutical Biotechnology at Northeastern and the founding director of the university's New England Inflammation and Tissue Protection Institute. The findings build upon Sitkovsky's previous research and represent the accumulation of his life's work, which has been supported by the Northeastern and the National Institutes of Health in the early 2000s. Sitkovsky made an important discovery in immunology, which had come to inform his research in cancer biology. He found that a receptor on the surface of immune cells, the A2A adenosine receptor, is responsible for preventing T cells from invading tumors and for putting to sleep those killer cells that do manage to enter into the tumors. His latest work shows that supplemental oxygen weakens tumor-protecting signaling through the A2A adenosine receptor and wakes up the T cells that were able to invade lung tumors. The discovery shifts the paradigm of decades-long drug development, a process with a low success rate, Sitkovsky said. Ooh, this guy is really letting them fire underneath himself here. Let me tell you, the pharmaceutical industry is not going to want this info to come out. Indeed, it is promising that our method could be implemented relatively quickly by testing in clinical trials the effects of oxygenation in combination with different types of already existing immunotherapies of cancer. So he's saying, go ahead, just take your oxygen with your pharmaceuticals. That will keep them alive. They won't kill them that way, guys. Sitkovsky noted that the effects of supplemental oxygenation might be even stronger in combination with a synthetic agent that he calls super caffeine, which is known to block the tumor-protecting effects of the adenosine receptor. He and Graham Jones, professor in the chair of the Northeastern Department of Chemistry and Chemical Biology, are currently collaborating to design the next generation of this drug, which was originally developed by patients with Parkinson's disease. The anti-tumor effects of supplemental oxygen can be further improved by the natural antagonist of the A2A adenosine receptor, which happens to be the caffeine in your coffee, Sitkovsky said. People drink coffee because the caffeine prevents the A2A adenosine receptor in the brain from putting us to sleep. The paper titled Immunology Mechanisms of the Anti-Tumor Effects of Supplemental Oxygenation was the result of a robust interdisciplinary collaboration between doctors, researchers at some of the country's most prestigious universities, hospitals, and medical schools. Co-authors comprised of 12 researchers from the NETIPA, aimed at understanding the underlying causes and molecular mechanisms of inflammation. So we just learned from this article that actually drinking coffee is not so bad. Coffee is preventing some of the cancers from developing in your body. I mean, it's definitely, I don't think, a silver bullet, but it probably would help you with some of the cancer cells that are in your body. And unfortunately, everyone that's alive today, we all have cancer cells in our body. It's all about controlling those cells and keep those from replicating. So drinking coffee and supplementing that with oxygen is actually a pretty good formula. Now you definitely want to keep those strontium milks out of your coffee. I just use coconut sugar. Or honey's a good option. Let me know, anybody, if you find a good deal for oxygen concentrators. I've seen some ones that are deliver 9L at 90% oxygen, and I've seen them for like 500. And 9L is pretty good. Some of the smaller versions, the portable versions, I heard they only get up to about 3L. So I want something serious. I want something that's going to really boost it up. But I can only imagine that not only oxygen is going to help you from preventing cancer in your body, it should also probably boost your energy level. And I imagine you probably sleep better if you have more oxygen. And numerous things I could imagine would help you with, probably even before a test, getting oxygen, or before you play sports or after sports. It just seems like a great item to have. It's definitely on my wish list.